Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ask IoT episode from IoT for All, the number one publication and resource for the Internet of Things. I'm your host, Ryan Chacon. On today's episode, we have Kevin Robinson, the CEO of the Wi-Fi Alliance. He's back for another episode, and we are talking about the different Wi-Fi certifications portfolio for IoT. So, what does it mean for a device to be certified? How do they get certified? What is Wi-Fi 6? What is Wi-Fi 6E? How does it impact the IoT space? What does Wi-Fi HaLow mean? What is it? How does it impact the industry and so forth? Covering all those different topics, which I think you'll get a lot of value out of. Please enjoy this episode of the Ask IoT video series. Welcome, Kevin. Thank you for taking time to chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's great to be here, Ryan.
Let's kick this off by having you give a quick introduction about yourself and an overview of the Wi-Fi Alliance, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, well, I'm Kevin Robinson. I'm the SVP of Marketing for Wi-Fi Alliance. I'm coming up on, I think, 15 years now in the organization in just a couple more months. So I've been around for a little while, seen a lot of innovation and changes in the industry.
Yep.
For those who are not familiar, Wi-Fi Alliance is the worldwide network of companies that brought you Wi-Fi. We are kind of the innovators, really hundreds, almost 1,000 different companies who all come together and help make Wi-Fi a global success and ultimately bring a lot of societal benefit, a lot of benefit to society and users around the world.
Fantastic. So today's conversation, we wanted to focus it around a quite interesting topic, a topic that I'm sure people come across but really don't understand the details of, which I'm hoping to get into here today. But it's around Wi-Fi certification portfolio for IoT, kind of what it means, what the differences are, kind of the value it provides, and so forth. So let's kick this off, kind of high level it about what does it mean for a device to be kind of certified, and what does that mean for
Mhm,
IoT in general?
mhm. So Wi-Fi certified really is one of the most important things that Wi-Fi Alliance as an organization does. It's been a key ingredient in what has driven the success of Wi-Fi for the past 20 plus years.
Okay.
And Wi-Fi certified, just very simply, means that a device, those devices, those certified devices, are going to work well together regardless of vendor.
Okay.
Wi-Fi certified is the reason that you can buy a smartphone from one manufacturer, a router from another manufacturer, and a doorbell camera from a third manufacturer. Right. The reality is today, while companies may eventually want to get to this point, there's no single brand or company out there that makes every type of device you could ever want. And so Wi-Fi certified is what has allowed people to have that choice and that flexibility in what they go out and purchase. Again, and make sure we use this term interoperability, but really just make sure that they work well together.
Right.
But in addition to that, Wi-Fi certified makes sure that those devices have the latest security. We
Right.
routinely update the security piece of our certification to address any emerging security threats. So again, it's really a seal of approval in a way for consumers and businesses to have confidence in the devices they're buying.
Gotcha. And what is the overall, or I guess, important thing to understand about why that is so important for the IoT industry?
Well, I think for the IoT industry in particular, you have a lot of companies that are very good at some other core benefit. And so I often use the example of like a washing machine, right? So
Okay.
there are companies who have been in the washing machine business for probably over like 100 years now by this point, right? They're incredibly good at getting clothes clean.
Okay.
Are they the world's foremost experts in connectivity? Some of them are getting there, but the reality is with IoT, you have a lot of new entrants kind of into this connectivity space, and connectivity is might be relatively new for them, or they're just standing up teams. But regardless, and even if they have a strong team, they don't control all of the other devices out there. They really have no choice in what type of router you have in your home, what type of smartphone you're using to control that IoT device. And so they rely on programs like Wi-Fi certified
Okay.
to have confidence that that product is not going to be purchased on day one and returned to store on day two because it didn't work.
Right. Right. Okay. Makes total sense. Next question I want to ask you is around um, Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E, what they are and how they
Mhm.
are going to impact the industry, in your opinion.
Sure. So Wi-Fi 6 is today's current generation of Wi-Fi. So people
Okay.
are probably familiar now. We've moved away from kind of that alphabet soup way of
Hmm.
talking about the various versions of Wi-Fi. And now
Sure.
it's kind of a very simple Wi-Fi 4, 5, 6, ultimately 7 that will continue
Right.
off.
Right.
So Wi-Fi 6 is today's current generation. Wi-Fi 6E, of course, steps a little bit away from the simplification, right? But it's for a very, very good reason. Wi-Fi 6E devices are those that have the ability to operate in this new 6 gigahertz spectrum that has become available to Wi-Fi. It is the largest grant or the largest portion of spectrum ever made available to Wi-Fi, and it was a kind of a monumental occasion. So it really justified the tweaking of Wi-Fi 6 with that E. But that's just a way for consumers and companies to know that it has that 6 gigahertz capability. Now, in terms of the importance to, let's say, the IoT space, um, a lot, especially for the past many years, quite frankly, the each generation has tended to bring primarily performance improvements, right? So it's all
Hmm.
about higher data rates, how much data throughput you can get, maybe range, some things like that. But with Wi-Fi 6, some of the key elements that came with that were, yes, high performance, but also better efficiency of the network and the ability to support large numbers of devices and to serve those devices, and the traffic for those devices in very specific ways that are kind of tailored to the device, right? So Wi-Fi 6 is really one of the first times where you're starting to fairly early on see IoT devices migrate to the latest generation.
Hmm.
Whereas I think historically you would often have an IoT device, many of them are still on Wi-Fi 4, right, which is 2 generations ago.
Right.
And it perfectly meets their needs in terms of performance, like data rates. Many of them are sending small bits of data, right? But with Wi-Fi 6, other capabilities and benefits are becoming more important. And
Okay.
so you're seeing kind of an early shift for the IoT over to Wi-Fi 6.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I think a lot of our audience has probably heard about it, seen it, see Wi-Fi 6 kind of listed, but just understanding how it's really impacting the industry and the value and benefits it's providing is fantastic to understand. Um, One of the last questions I have for you, just kind of around this topic here, and it's another kind of Wi-Fi certification. We've heard about technology. We've heard about it's Wi-Fi HaLow. What is that exactly, and how does that impact the industry as well?
Mhm. Yeah, Wi-Fi Hail is a really interesting one. And I will say we're fairly early in the adoption cycle for Wi-Fi Halo, because it is so different from previous versions of Wi-Fi in that it operates in an entirely new spectrum band. So Wi-Fi Halo is what you would call it. It's a sub gigahertz technology. So it's in
Mm,
depending where in the world you are, it might be in the 900 megahertz band. But what that means is it brings a lot of really great capabilities. It's able to penetrate walls and obstructions better. You can get much greater range, and it really is set apart. If you look at kind of all of the other IoT technologies out there, it is unique in its ability to deliver a level of performance at range.
mhm.
So, for example, stands alone in the ability to do video streaming, let's say from a camera that might be at the farthest end of your yard. Maybe you've got
Right.
an acre or something, and you can run a camera from your driveway all the way to the house using something like Wi-Fi Halo. At its longest ranges, it's going well over a kilometer
Yeah.
of range. So again, something that you don't have in traditional Wi-Fi. But then on top of that, you have many of the same great benefits that come with your more traditional versions of Wi-Fi. It's got the same security. It's
Yep.
native IP.
Right.
A lot of the other technologies that are getting built on that Wi-Fi foundation are equally applicable to Wi-Fi Halo. So
Mhm.
again, it's really a very interesting technology.
Yep.
We're starting to see some level of traction more in the industrial space, in industrial IoT type applications. And we're optimistic to see what happens in more of the residential space.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know you and I chatted about this. I think this was back in, can't remember exactly when we did it. It was a while ago. We chatted about Halo when it
Hmm.
was kind of first announcing to our audience. It's a very exciting technology, just because I think it really expands the use cases and the potential for the technology in general. So, really excited to kind of keep an eye and focus on its growth and evolution, and then adoption,
Hmm.
obviously, as it continues to grow. But for our audience out there who wants to learn more about this kind of topic conversation, more about the alliance, follow up questions, anything like that, what's the best way they can do that?
Well, certainly we've got a lot of great information on our website at www.wifi.org. A lot of great papers and ways to kind of really get into the technology, understand what is on the roadmap for Wi-Fi. And of course, like many organizations, we're very active on social, whether that be LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. So kind of depending on your platform of choice, go ahead and follow us and keep up with all the latest developments in the industry.
Fantastic. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. All the content we're making together, I think our audience can get a ton of value out of. So I really appreciate it, and look forward to hopefully chatting again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching that episode of the Ask IoT video series. I hope you found a lot of value in it. If you did, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps others find it and make sure that you get the latest episodes as soon as they become available. Other than that, if you have any questions or topics that you would like us to cover in this series, please leave them in the comments or shoot us an email at hello@iotforall.com. Other than that, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.